And welcome to another edition of the Best Three Podcast. I'm still Alvin. That's still Torrey. TH,
What up,
it's
what up?
last week of July, my man. How are you feeling out there?
I'm doing good, Alvin. I'm doing good. I had to refresh my background screen, Alvin. It's a new season, hardcore season. Back, a lot of these events are at least on, I'll say, North America. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And here on the state side. So happy to have the players back this side. It's funny to I've been watching a little bit of the Mubadala DC Open and
Mubadala.
City Open, and it's been. I had to research that earlier today. By the way, I had to find out who that was and kind of apprise myself. I know you were just there. How was your
Yep.
trip?
The trip was good. Got 2 days on site. It's always refreshing for me as a tennis fan, tennis enthusiast, tennis practitioner to be amongst the people. The people
Yeah.
being like not just the fans, the players. Got some time to speak with some other people who cover tennis.
Mm.
So that was good. Shout out to Anastasia from Ground Pass. Her and I keep in contact, so we were able to get together and talk a little bit while we were there. And I ran into Jill Krabus.
Jill, my girl.
Yeah, Jill's
Yeah.
she's working. She wants to come on the pod sometime. I used
Awesome.
to work with Jill back in the day.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Same. When we
Yeah.
were at UTA way back in the day, Miss Krabus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but yeah, I haven't seen her in some years, and I ran into
Yeah.
her like 10 minutes after I got on site. So like that's like I feel like tennis tournaments are almost for those who have worked
Oh,
in tennis and around tennis. It's almost like homecoming. Like you run
yeah,
into people.
exactly.
So
A
that's
reunion for sure.
yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool. So that was good. Also just getting to see the players kind of like up close and personal, right? And I know we'll get to the DC experience,
Yeah.
the on-site experience a little bit later as we progress through today's conversation. But I was really excited too. I took a lot of feverish notes, and I had to stop myself and just like, you know what? I'm just gonna talk to Tori about it. We're gonna talk our way through this because the Venus Williams experience
Mm.
is it's over right now. So we're recording on Friday
Friday.
afternoon.
Yep.
She lost last night to Magdalena
Freck. Yep.
Freck. Sorry.
Yep.
But she lost doubles the day prior. Taylor Townsend and I forgot who's Taylor playing with, Asian woman. Anyways, yeah. So, but she did win one doubles match with Haley Baptiste, and then she did win a singles match against Peyton Stearns, right? And
Yep.
so that's I want to kind of start there, and then kind of work our way forward. So obviously, Venus gets the wild card in the tournament, right? It's widely. I mean, I think every broadcast that was covering the Venus Williams in DC was talking about her age, right? It just came up
Right.
over and over. Venus Williams, 45 years old, oldest woman ever,
Sure.
blah 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 blah,
Sure.
and that's all good and fine, right? So, but when I watched the match against
Zhang, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure. Zhang.
Fantastic doubles player in her own right.
Yeah.
But when I watched the match against Peyton, right? So I watched that one. I was still at home. I watched
Yeah.
that one on television.
Yeah.
And I was texting some friends, and I'm like, I don't understand why we are in the year 2025 still pinning our hopes and our coverage and all this energy around a woman who is more or less retired from tennis, but is playing. Like I was very dismissive of the idea and a little upset with tennis, the state of tennis right now. If we don't have enough personalities and enough players that we deem as stars to
Right.
push forward that so much that someone who's so far past her prime is essentially the face of this
Garnering
tournament.
all that attention.
I'm like, what are we
Sure.
doing? Like,
Sure.
what are we doing? And then, because I'm sadistic, I found I had to watch the match. Like,
Yeah.
fine. I'm not doing anything else. I'll watch this match. And from warm-ups,
Yeah.
I'm looking at Peyton, and I'm like, Peyton looks like she's been shot. Like, her face was just, she was in a very weird space.
You're playing one of the girls, one of your idols who you grew up playing and grew up watching on TV. And, and maybe even for Peyton, I mean, some of her earliest tennis memories may have included Venus, obviously, and Serena. And I saw some of the comments, and one of the things, Venus was 3 in the world when Peyton was born. You know what I mean? So you can imagine the respect, and that I don't want to steal your thunder. Keep going.
No, but then I mean that kind of gets to my point though, right? Yeah. So there's a good 22. I think Peyton's 23 years old, so a good 22-year difference there.
Yep.
Almost double her age, right? But
Yep.
to that point, let's take the tennis out of it, right? Peyton looked like she could not play tennis in that match. Like she was very, arrested, if you will.
Sure.
And as you're watching it, it's like Venus can barely move. Like, yeah, she can still serve. Like, I mean, dropping bombs, right? She can, if you let her, she can still rip a forehand, like still rip a backhand, win set in position. But that
backhand was all day the other night. Why Peyton was going to the backhand was my first question. But keep going. Before you get there, I do have to interject one thing.
Please do.
You said she can't move compared to a Venus Williams who was 25. I think you have to qualify that statement in that sense, or to the average, if you will, top 20, if you will, WTA player today. I coach 45-year-old women, Alvin. I would absolutely kill to have a Venus.
Right, but that's my point.
She looked phenomenal for 45.
In that it's not the point. That is my point. Like, yeah, she looks great for 45, but she does not look great for a professional tennis player. Like that's my point. There were women in qualifying who were better than her. I see her come out of the corners. I was like, oh yeah, I'm 42. I get it. Wait, am I 42? I am 42. Yeah, I understand. And I'm not 6 foot tall, right? So I can move with the best of them for my age, right? Getting out of the corners it's a sticky situation. I'm not playing against Peyton Stearns. So I get you, and that's also my point, right? Under normal circumstances, and I caveat that with saying normal circumstances, and when I'll get to why I consider these very abnormal circumstances in a moment. Under normal circumstances, Peyton should dog walk Venus Williams. Dog walk. She did not. She couldn't even walk herself. So that was on, I don't remember what night that was. Fast forward, maybe the next day, I think was Monday. Okay, so 2 days, maybe a day later, 2 days later, I was on site, and the Venus Williams experience in person in Washington, D.C., like Chocolate City, it is. I was like, oh, now I see why Peyton couldn't move. Like
Tuesday night. Yeah.
It was Tuesday. Okay, so the very next day I was there, and I saw part of the doubles match that they ended up losing. But I was like, oh, now I get it. Like the crowd's there. So like it's like Atlanta, but it's a very black city. And black tennis is, Arthur Ashe helped build that facility. And Howard is Howard's right down the street?
Yep.
Howard University is right down the street.
Yep. The Bison.
Yep, exactly. I went right past the campus on my way up to the park on Thursday morning. So it's different, and it felt different. And the crowds for a women's doubles match on the second court were insane. Like, it was insane. The line to get in on the match prior was insane. I mean, and then when you put all that together, I go, okay, yeah, she didn't really have a chance. Like, I mean, I can imagine as an American, a young American, you would never dream that you would be not a crowd favorite in a tournament on American soil.
But you're playing another American who just happens to be Venus Williams in her 7. Was it 7? I think she won 7 Grand Slams back in her day. Alvin, I know what you're saying. My take was very different and very. It's a tangent.
What do you mean?
When 45 years old can still hang.
Sure.
It shows you how good 45 was 20 years ago. We're seeing this same conversation with Novak now. He is not as fast as he was back then. We all know that. You've asked a question. You've posited, why is he still playing? Why didn't he just retire? I would hate to see him go out like I saw. You mentioned the Hubie Hurkacz match with Fed and so on and so on. I've heard that from you a time or two. I made the comment about Pete leaving in '02 when he was done, right, when he won his last one, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of teased he might come back, only to a year later, no one seen nor heard
Yep.
of me. He's, oh, by the way, I'm retired, which I thought was a very smart move. Uh, I saw the '02 match, and he almost got beat by Rusetsky in the round of 16. Couldn't have been
Right.
quarter,
Yeah.
but
That's a whole nother
snuck out
episode
of
of its
that
own
one,
right
a whole
there.
nother talk show, right? But I say it to say, Venus to me in that match the other day showed why she's still relevant with her level. Not the tournament, not for tennis, but she gave us a throwback performance of what she was. And Alvin, if anybody, not just both of us being black people, black tennis fans, obviously appreciative of everything that the Williams sisters, in particular Venus, who was first, have given us and the platform that they've given us. What I would tell you is it was just good to see her not only win, but also to be reminded of how good she was then, and how just to say, you know what, I know I'm 45, but I just want to dip my toe in the water just to kind of see what it was like again. And I'll be honest, I felt bad for Peyton because I think Peyton was expecting a 45-year-old. I don't think she was expecting a former Grand Slam champ who just happens to be 45. No, not unlike Novak, when he's played some of these other matches against some of these outside of the top 10 types. Novak can look pretty clean, Alvin. He can look pretty Novak-ish a lot.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
then he
yeah.
plays against, a center, as he's done the last couple of tournaments. And then he looks a little more aged, but make no mistake, with most people outside of the top 5, let alone top 10, Novak, save for that little spurt he had early in the year where he was kind of had a little bit of
Right. Yeah.
had a little bump in the road. But Alvin, that's my point. Don't think that he still can't play tennis. And that was my tangent, was we should almost put former slam champions in their own UTR, because you can't base it off UTR, off of past matches. It's a level, it's and a rating, but it's not a rating based off of competition in the
Right.
last 20,
And
because they may have played. Venus probably hadn't played a match. What was it,
right,
18
yeah,
months, 2 years?
it's
What
been
was it?
almost a year and a half since she's played a
Right.
match. But I think the thing
So
that you have to consider is like the difference in age between it's not really about. I mean, it's not. I say it's not about Venus, even though it's about Venus.
sure.
And it's not about her age, but it is about her. Like when we look at the comparison between Novak and Venus, right? Like, I think Novak's 38. There's a big difference between 38 and what is she, 44? What she is,
45.
or 45, yeah. Right? So,
Yeah.
even the last time she made a run at a Grand Slam was like 2017, and I think she lost to her sister in the final of the Australian Open. And that at that point.
But to your point, and that's 7 years older than our current 24 slam champ on the men's side. I'm just saying it makes her that much more relevant. I'm just telling you, Alvin. And my only point about the tangent was we almost have to put that level of player in their own special cryogenically frozen UTR. Look, I can't play a tournament that way anymore. I'm not a threat. I may not be a threat to win the next match. She'll probably feel that match for 2 more days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like when she
Right.
against Magdalena, like it's like, okay,
Right.
she's a top seed in this tournament. Like she's 7th seed. But now Venus has 3 matches on the body. It's like,
Right.
yeah, that's gonna be tough.
So smart.
That's gonna be tough.
So smart for Freck to come out there and drop shot and run and move, and buddy, she
Yeah.
was not gonna get into a power struggle with Venus.
Mm-mm.
And how smart she was, up all night like, Peyton, thank you, because I was thinking about that, but you just showed me not to do that. You know
Right.
what I mean? And
Right.
let me get back to old school. Let me run the 45-year-old game style and lob and do everything I can, and Venus still had a handful of winners on her. So, Alvin, I'll give you a quick little backstory. I'm at the Open with SCO back in, 05, 04. Well, it was 04 through 07, 8 or so. John McEnroe, right, who has many years past his prime. John's, darn near. He's got to be mid 60s, give or take now.
Sure.
This was 20 years ago. So he's, my age, likely between me and your age now, he was 20 years ago, right?
Okay.
SCO's playing him in a set, right? SCO looks over at me John's coming out from the booth. No one's out there. It's a nighttime match. We just got done watching somebody playing, and there were some other people playing. We're like, okay, we've already seen it. Let's get a quick hit in. He's like, T, I want to hit. I go, let's hit some balls. Out of nowhere, John McEnroe comes on the outside of Billie Jean King, comes out and says, hey, can I hit a few balls? And I'm looking over like,
am I getting pumped? Am I getting pumped?
Is that even a question, right? They hit some balls, and McEnroe's kind of loosening up, stretching, hitting the old forehand, bringing out and hitting the ball. Alvin, I tell you, and Sko will appreciate this when we get him back on the pod. Hitting the ball pretty clean, bigger than you thought, because I watched McEnroe growing up myself, and I'm like, wow, Mac hits the ball pretty well. Standard pro tennis player. Hey, you want to play a set, right? Sko looks over at me like, this guy, like this is an old man. I'll kill this guy. And I'm like, I've said something that's going under my breath, like, Sko, John won 8 Grand Slams. Brother's pretty good. I said,
right.
Don't sleep. I said, don't sleep. I said, and if you win the first couple games, I said, be ready for him to make an adjustment. And I said, I'm just telling you now. I said, he's going to surprise you.
He can't win this tournament, but he'll bust your ass tonight.
Sko came at him strong, had a couple aces first, and you could tell John was just kind of calibrating. Sko ended up taking him out. But when I tell you, had it gone 2 sets, now mind you, John would have needed a trainer at the end of the 2 sets, but it would have gotten that much closer. I want to say it may have been 6-3. Had it have gone, and the last 3 games, Alvin, were very fiercely contested. And Sko looked at me like, man. And I said, Sko, former number 1 in the world, bro. I go, he knows how to play the game. He may not be as fast. He may not be as good, as young and as fit. I said, but don't think he don't know where to put it. Doesn't know the adjustments to make. And we were both laughing on the way back to the hotel. Like, he was incredulous. I was like, I expected him to do that to you sooner. That just shows a little bit of age, and he probably wasn't warmed up, right? Using your match to get ready for his Masters doubles match tomorrow, right? So I said to say, so sure enough, Dobbs sends me, boy was playing the French Open, the Junior French. And sure enough, who comes over to get a quick hit in? McEnroe, right? And so I'm laughing, right? I
imagine Mac running around with it's like $100 bills in his pocket, like just trying to hustle juniors. Like, all right, well, let's put a little something on.
Put some money on it.
Put some money on it.
100%. And so I'm laughing at the fact that he's still doing the same thing, kind of hanging around the courts, checking out some players and whatnot. And anyway, I said all to say that was my experience 20 years ago. And so I tell you that to tell you, so to see a 45-year-old former number 1 and top player, to come out there for one match, I almost expected that to be, I hope they'd have gone 3 for Peyton's sake, but I almost expected Venus to win that match and to, let's face it, bow out gracefully the next day due to age and due to recovery. But I'm just saying, Alvin, now, if they were 30 in the world, maybe not so much. Top 100 in the world back in the day, still very solid. Whoop anybody at the club, period. But at the pro level, but you put a former number 1
right
at a what's DC, a 500 at a 500. Come on, Alvin.
Well, you could see like also like the point about being like, I think one of the differences in being like former number 1 and former Grand Slam, multiple time Grand Slam champion is like you could see her kind of quickly get into that zone. Like Venus got into this zone. Like, and they show the close-ups on her face. It's like she's locked in. Like, there's nothing here that can phase her. She's been in much bigger scenarios, especially at the back end of the second set where she was trying to close it out and had lots of chances and couldn't get it on, I think, I can't remember what the score was at this time, but like I think she had a couple late second. Yeah, she had a couple match points, but on Peyton's serve and wasn't able to get them. But like she never looked flustered. She's like, I've done this. This is fine. Everything's fine. I barely even feel the crowd. They're here, but like whatever. I've done this.
Or maybe better said, I'm so much more comfortable in the crowd than you are.
In the crowd, yeah. This is a big like
my crowd.
Peyton has recently played in some big tournaments, and she's a 30-something in the world touring professional, but she's never played in the last week of a Grand Slam. She's never been in a stadium like this, in a match that matters. Like
and perhaps has been the underdog for a lot of that, and had the crowd support as the underdog looking for the upset. Now she's in a sense the seed, and who is she playing? A crowd favorite, especially to your point, for DC. So
Right.
I thought it was a tough situation. I
And
thought Freck did a great job just because she's not, what's Freck, Polish? Just because she's not from here,
right.
and it's, a
Right.
lot of it didn't phase her. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And then I see Peyton, I guess this would have been yesterday, out on the practice courts. Like I saw her earlier in the day and then saw her again late afternoon, got 2 different workouts in, and it's like, yeah, just getting that work in. Like that's what you got to do. Get right back to the drawing
Get right
board.
back on the horse. 100%.
And she looked fine. Like she's hitting the
Yeah.
ball well, moving well. Like seems like we just caught a blip.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. Caught a blip.
Yeah.
Caught a blip. But yeah, the Venus experience was fun. She's going to be playing in, I just saw she got the wild card into Cincinnati, so
Nice.
she's going to be in Cincinnati a little later in a couple
Messing
weeks.
up somebody else's draw. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then this is what's like this. I mean, you can see what's happening, right? Like you see the
Yeah.
machine happening. Like she's hitting, and she's playing in tournaments. She's getting wild cards. She's enjoying playing. That's fine. You see this marching towards the U.S. Open. I assume she's going to get a wild card in the U.S. Open. I assume she's going to play, and then maybe she gets her grand send off there, like because she has never officially retired, right? So she's just
that's a good point.
but she's not going to just disappear. Like,
but you don't think a lot of this, and I'll come back from my tangent on the tennis portion, which I still wholeheartedly stand by. You don't think this is still part of the whole selling tickets situation? This is not part of the whole. You got Alcaraz and Raducanu playing mixed.
no,
You don't think this is part of
these events? These events are. I mean, DC got lucky. I mean, it seems like they're selling tickets anyways. Like they're fine, probably fine. Cincinnati is fine. They just went through this major expansion. This is their like unveiling year. There's a documentary out about like how they almost lost the event to Charlotte in the last 2 years, and we were able to resecure it, and now they're investing more into the facility.
Sure.
I'll drop a link in the description if I can find it or remember that I said that. But I think I don't. To my point, I don't think it's a tickets thing. The U.S. Open, I just feel like
there was a line. You said it yourself. I'm just
there was a line, but all these people already had tickets. Like they're already there. Those are grounds passes. Like that's an empty. It's a first come first serve situation. But for the doubles, anyways, for the singles, that thing was packed out, and the tickets got expensive. I'm lucky I got mine early. But I just feel like we're moving towards a good send off for her.
Sure.
Very similar to what we saw with Serena. Except for even forget, Serena played no warm-up events leading up to the U.S. Open before she retired. She just played the Open and got to the third round, beat the 2 seed. Like, this is off topic, but if she had done what Venus is doing now, like got serious, played a couple warm-up events, and then went and played the U.S. Open. I mean, she's definitely beating. She lost to the Australian girl in the third round, but and then she just looked a little rusty, looked a little tired.
Yeah.
But I feel like Isla Tomljanovic is who she lost to. But she beat Annette Kontaveit in this first round, second round. Like Annette was 2 in the world.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So I feel like we're moving towards that. Also with the Venus returning, they've also been showing that Serena has been training and she's hitting and she's lost a bunch of weight and she looks great. Yeah. And she's out hitting. It's like, are they playing doubles in the U.S. Open?
Yeah, no, that would be fun to see.
Probably.
That would be fun to see. I would go. I'm going to New York in 3 weeks. I would go back to New York to watch them. You know what I mean? To watch them play dubs. That just for old time's sake. You know what I mean? And that's my whole point. I'm not saying it's a bad thing for the media, but I'm saying at some point, you said it best, Alvin. Tennis needs to be, these big tournaments need to be more like tennis festivals, right? And who would you want to see more playing women's doubles than, for old time's sake, Venus and Serena? You know what I mean? Lacing it up once again. I personally think that'd be a great match to watch and be a part of.
And they mean so much. Like so if you look at so Venus is 45 and Serena is 43. I'm 42. Yeah. So as far as like when I was coming of age as a tennis player, like when I was in juniors, they were kind of, I mean, they weren't actively playing in juniors, but they were about the same age. So like I never really like idolized them. They did not get me into tennis. That is for the generation behind you, right? So like their impact on said generation is it was always kind of lost on me. I always just appreciated them as tennis players, right? I didn't see them as like barrier breakers because I was there at the exact same time. So a little different story. But then,
Right.
like, I remember telling someone, like, when I was a kid coming up in junior tennis in Georgia, like, there weren't many black girls. There were like a handful.
Sure.
But then when I came back coaching 10 years later,
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So
Yeah.
like that is I could see the impact,
Yeah.
right? That was not by mistake. I could see the impact
Yeah.
that they had, and then got to see them as professionals and just appreciated them as outstanding tennis players. So, but now coming back to it, like, and seeing them as, you know, we're all adults now.
Yeah.
And seeing how people, like, the reverence that people older than I myself have for them,
Right.
who were adults when they both hit the scene, right?
Yeah.
And then also the players, like, even Naomi said, like, you know, Venus is like, it's like
Queen.
Mama, it's like Queen Venus. Like, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. You're, you know, 15, almost 20 years younger than her. So that, yeah,
Sure.
I get it. So yeah, that impact is real. For whatever it is, like,
Yeah.
however long it is,
However long it lasts, it's just to be enjoyed. It's to be appreciated, and hey, it's and in the grand scheme of things, we're all a little dust in the wind, aren't we? And so for this little moment, for that dust to be a little bit more pertinent and a little bit more, you know, I'm going to say more substantial right now, buddy, I'm all for it. And I thought it was great. I thought it was good for tennis. I really was. It was, I hated to be Peyton that night, but at the same time, it was good for tennis to see. And I'll tell you one more thing. It was good for Alvin. It was good to see her looking good. Had she gone out there and looked horrible, right, we'd have a very different podcast, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we might not be talking about it.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Alvin, she was in that forehand about as clean as she's ever hit it. I mean, she
Oh,
was
yeah.
hitting the forehand about as Venus always had the backhand. Serve was clean, looked comfortable. You know, I just felt like, I mean, her hair was looking good. She was looking good. I mean, she looked happy. You know, and I have to tell you, for her, I was very happy for her. The space she's in, recently engaged. I just felt like she was, you know, things are, you know, for as much as she's given to the game, it was good to see her have a moment like that.
Yeah, and, like, you know, to the point of, like, looking good, hitting the ball well. You know, I ventured out to the practice courts a good bit. I spent a good amount of time in the practice courts when I was in DC. It's kind of my thing. And she was, like, going through her process and, like, yeah, just looked like a player, but, like, very unbothered by all the things around. And you got to think, like, when when she was one in the world and winning Grand Slams and filing Grand Slams, like, she's been around a lot more hoopla than this.
Right.
This is like, oh, this is cute to her. Like, we're in a park here. We're in a park here in DC, northern DC, and this is the cute little stadium you got here, and this is nice. But so it was just about the tennis.
Even her little famous wave and her wave with her little turn that she does, her little ballerina ice skating turn she does. It was just that her patented move, right? It was just so good to see all of it. You know, it was brought it all back.
Kind of my last point on her is, like, to that exact point there, like, everyone was caught up in the Venus Williams rapture, and, you know, her press conferences were, you know, obviously she's extremely well spoken. She had eloquent thoughts and had, like, reporters eating out of the palm of her hand and all this stuff. It made me think, and I talked to others about it while I was there. It's like, it just kind of shows you the gap in personalities between like this woman who is a full on, like, a complete person at this point in her life,
100%.
Versus some of these, like, I guess, relatively children who were expecting to be introspective, and be interesting and be comfortable enough in their skin and their position as tennis players. It's almost not fair. Like, the point was, like, man, we really need some more characters on tour, but, like, it does take a certain amount of perspective in life to be at work and be a character at the same time. Like, let your character show through.
On that thought, and I know we may taper after this, Venus was always very well spoken, very, very articulate, perhaps even more so than Serena. You always felt like Serena was a little more, I'm going to say, real, for lack of a better word, and very understanding of the moment, Serena. but I always felt that Venus was very, very, or not that Serena wasn't, but Venus was just a little better at it. The point I'm making is, and we may agree, we may disagree on this one, I don't know. That's what you miss when some of the greats leave. You miss their perspective. You miss their otherworldly sense of the moment, everything around it. I was watching a recent little Instagram about Andre, and when he was number one in the world, and how it was on success and failure just the other day, and how he wasn't happy, right? And his mindset was, as he goes on to say in that little minute and whatever 30-second video. But you could see in the pictures were very, very well attuned to his arise and then his fall, right? And then his rise again, right? But Agassi, and you've heard him commentate, as I have, Alvin, in matches since then, about how well spoken, and how we're watching the ball being hit by the racket. He's watching the person in the moment and how they're handling it. And I just say it to say the perspective is just different. When I coach a kid right now, after almost 30 years of coaching, it's not that ball he missed. He missed that ball 3 shots ago. I know it. He doesn't. He won't have a clue for another year that I was right. I've seen that already so many times. He didn't see the first short ball. His next 2 balls were a little bit short in the court. The kid's next ball was inevitably deeper. He's trying to come in on the ball he should have came in 2 balls ago.
Right.
You know this as well as I do, right? The kid comes in and gets past easily if he makes the approach at all. I saw it. I almost turned away and says, yep, you'll miss the next approach shot because you're going to come on a ball that you should have come in 2 balls ago. What am I looking at? I'm looking at all of it. He sees that ball. Agassi sees that at the pro level, right? What I'm seeing on court 3 on a random Tuesday, he says, it's just Thursday to me. But yeah, I saw the same thing for so and so and so and so. So now imagine that perspective is now in front of the microphone. And could somebody really fill those shoes, having lived such a relatively shorter period of time, let alone lived on the tour for that length of time, and didn't have those experiences? So I'm just saying those are the things you miss when the torchbearers.
Well, I agree with you to your point, but I think it's even less. It's that thing like you hit your prime when your physical abilities, when your mental capabilities meet your physical, abilities at some apex, and then you want to zoom in and elongate that period of time for as long as possible, right?
And decelerate as slow as possible.
While the mental abilities to read the game continue to increase, you want to slow down the decrease of your physical capabilities. Tom Brady was able to do it for a while. LeBron James has been able to do it. Like, this is what the greats, Novak is able to do it. Like, that they're fighting against their physical disadvantage because they have such a greater mental advantage, right? And that not only comes across like while they're playing the game, but also where the game fits in their life and how they're able to view the game from, like, when you're 25, you're in, I don't care what your job is, you're just in it. You're a young adult trying to figure it out, right? And if your job happens to be a professional tennis player and you're pretty good at it, that's gonna you are already the sun in your own universe to begin with as a professional tennis player, right? Everything revolves around you. And then that universe just keeps
heliocentric.
Very much so. Very much so. Basketball is still the term. We've been doing it in tennis for a long time. But then now you add, you're just bouncing around the world playing tennis, right? And it never stops. It's 11 months out of the year. You're just moving. So the expectation or the want from us on the outside for these players to have that perspective, it's impossible. They can't do it. You're just too young. You're just too young. It can't happen until you've seen it enough times to where you're not worried about the minutia of the thing, and you can zoom out and look at the macro of it all. And that's where Venus is in life right now. That's where anyone, past the age of 30, 35 probably is in life. But to your point about the greats, we don't have them. It's like, well, we can't have them. They can't play tennis anymore at a high level. Like they can't stay high enough ranked to stay around long enough for us
Sure.
to be able to have this outside of these one-off wild card situations.
I think what I'm getting at is that we miss them,
Oh,
and
sure.
whether they're in the booth, whether they're coaching someone else who's now younger and doing their thing. I would love to hear from her more often. I would love to hear from Andre more often. I would love to hear. I've read a few articles recently from Tim Henman. I think when Novak gets done, I would love to hear more from Novak. Andy Murray, because they are still so relevant, and because of that otherworldly, that almost surreal understanding of it all. And there's no disrespect on some of the others who I perhaps don't like to listen to so much in the booth, but I say it to say I would love to hear more of them. And Venus just reminded me how much that I personally have missed her, and her time on court just continue to make her comments more relevant, right? She still knows what she knows. Is she able to do it anymore? That's not her fault being 45. It's the fact that she still has all of that wherewithal to share with the world. To me is a travesty not to be able to to hear from her, should that be her wish, right, to share it with us. But I just feel like Tennis Channel and other people, we got some great people in the booth, some young ones. Love, they got my girl Coco in there, Vanderway, they got Sam, they got Eubanks, they got my main man Monroe, Nick Monroe.
Yeah.
They could have we're going to call it a Coach's Corner championship edition, you know what I mean, for the Venuses, for that level of play, for the Andres, to really give us some true insights of what's going on there. And to people that are very articulate and very well, not just well spoken on how they present, but who've been there and done it, can help us, mere mortals, understand it from that perspective. So
and I think that's kind of the kicker you kind of touched on. I think you were alluding to McEnroe, but like the great ones need to stay close to the game, like at the ground level, to really have a fresh, to marry what they already know
100%
to what's happening right now.
Yep.
And I think that's the special sauce.
Yep.
To that point, Sally Jenkins had an article out in the Washington Post a couple weeks ago, and kind of just really putting down the McEnroe brothers and their commentary. And I saw it on Instagram and shared it on the Best of Three account. And boy, let me tell you, we're not. This is not a social media driven exploration here that we're doing. We are on social media because we have to be on social media. But the crux of what we do around here is this podcast. That's what we're here for. But let me tell you, we got a lot of new followers. And a lot of views, and the comment section, it's really a glimpse into the tennis fans' view on how they like to watch tennis. And what it comes down to, I believe, is there are casual fans who watch tennis during the Grand Slams, and they're only watching the big matches that are on ESPN. And so, like, they're cool with it. Like, they like John McEnroe. They knew him from when he was a player, and they know him as a broadcaster. And they don't really care how he pronounces, Kabali, because they don't know how to pronounce it either. They don't know who this guy is.
Right.
But so that it works for them. But then there are the people who are the diehards, and I would imagine the people who listen to this podcast probably want a little bit more. Want something a little bit different. So it's been really, really interesting just to kind of see people and their thoughts about the subject, because we talk about it here a little bit every once in a while, but now that it's out in the public and we are kind of swept up in that conversation, it's been eye-opening for me. Let's do this. Let's take a little break. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about on-site in DC.
The tournament. I'm dying to hear some of your experiences and who impressed you. Because
Absolutely.
when you see it in person, it's different, isn't it?
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back.